Oh, hey! Why, hello there. Welcome to my channel. My name is Lottie, and if you've been here before, I'm rocking with that. Welcome back. How are y'all doing? How's quarantine treating you all? Y'all, personally, I have been bored. My boredom made me realize maybe other people are bored too, and I thought, you know what I could do while I'm at home? I could make a series based around the quarantine, and I could call it Tine Tingz, or for short, Tine Tingz. So welcome to the first installment of Tine Tingz. Ooh, this might be the first and last video in this series, but what can you do? We're gonna try anyways. One theme that I keep seeing that's bothering people a lot in this quarantine situation is having to be alone, not being around friends, not being around their mate and things like that. For some people, this is because their friends and their significant others are just quarantining elsewhere. But for some people, the reason that they're feeling so lonely is because they ended friendships, ended relationships. And I thought, what better time to address such a thing than right now? I just wanted to do a video on breakups, managing them, moving through them, healing from them, just everything in one video. And like I said, when I'm talking about breakups, I'm not just talking about with significant others. I'm talking about breakups with family, friends, your pets, all that ish. I'm kind of just speaking from the dome and from personal experience, so don't take anything I say as fact. Okay. What I want to talk about in this video mainly is the stages of a healthy breakup. And I also want to talk about how to move on after a breakup. I'm honestly just gonna talk and hope it all comes together in the end. So without further ado, let's just begin. Okay. First things first, let's just talk about the stages of a healthy breakup. Now, to me, I feel like there are two types of breakups. There's the healthy one, and then there's the unhealthy one. I'm gonna address both types, but right now I'm gonna talk about a healthy breakup first. Now I'm gonna call these the 8 stages of a healthy breakup. The funny thing about a breakup is that you kind of feel dramatic all the time, but you can't explain why. You just feel dramatic, you know? Because you've seen other people go through breakups and you've thought that they were being dramatic. So when it's your time to go through a breakup, everything you do feels dramatic. And in a sense, it might be. But also you need to really realize that a breakup is almost like you lost somebody, but they didn't die. Does that make sense? Especially if y'all were really good friends or really good people with each other. It feels like you lost something, but it's still there. So of course all these emotions are extra, or they feel extra, because that's what's being triggered in your brain. Death. So let's just talk about the stages of a breakup. If you have different stages or they didn't hit like this, feel free to comment in the comment section below, but let's just get into it. The first stage is instant regret, because since it was healthy, you feel like, oh, it shouldn't have ended. It could have been worked out, things of that nature, which is normal to feel and everything like that. Don't feel like you're wrong, but when you're breaking up with somebody, there's a reason. Well, usually there's a reason. The reason you regret a healthy breakup is because since it was so healthy, since it ended on a good note, you have a tendency to feel like nothing ever went wrong. You know, like all of this could have been fixed type thing, and you just regret it. Instant regret also comes more so if, say, both of you agree to break up. Usually there's still somebody who initiated the breakup, if that makes sense. Both of y'all might have been dwindling, but there's still somebody who's finally like, think we should end it. And both of y'all might agree. If you're the person who said, think we should end it, you might be the person who feels this instant regret more, because it feels like you jumped the gun, right? And then this leads to the second stage, which is validation. And that comes almost immediately after the regret, because you realize that, oh, it did need to happen. You know, this relationship did need to end. And that in itself is weird too. That's a weird feeling. At this point, you realize that it really wasn't a mistake and it was mutual. Now, after validation comes a feeling of emptiness. You just kind of feel like something's missing. I'd say this one is the most long-term feeling. Now, if you truly cared for this person, or this person had a significant part in your life, you just kind of feel empty. You feel like you're missing something. Like losing your best friend, you feel that ish. You know, because that's the person that you talk to constantly. That's the person that if you were angry with somebody, you vent to, right? So it just feels like something's missing. And this emptiness leads to the next stage, which is venting. I'm talking you reach out to all your pals, you reach out to every and anybody, and sometimes you don't even have somebody to specifically reach out to, so you just start venting on social medias. Like, this is just the stage of venting, getting it off your chest. And originally you do this just to distract yourself. You vent to distract yourself from the feeling of emptiness. You vent to make sure that you're valid in what you did. You vent to not feel that regret. But through venting, you also realize that you're letting it out. You're starting to clear out, right? And then just after, you know, you're venting your heart out and everything, the next stage hits, which is sadness. Like, I'm telling you, you are extremely sad all the time. You can't even explain it. You can't explain it. You're just sad. And you're always an inch away from breaking down. But truly, sadness is a significant part of a healthy breakup. You just always feel like you're about to break down. You're just sad, bro. And then cycling. The next stage is cycling. You go on YouTube and you watch every single breakup video you can find just to cope, and you just go on this cycle. You just cycle and spiral. Next thing you know, you're 50 videos deep. I don't even know why this is a stage or why I'm counting it as a stage, but I am. You get into this rabbit hole and you just get deeper and deeper into it. Sometimes you rewatch the same video. It's a coping mechanism. That's what I'm saying it is. It's a coping mechanism. And after cycling comes healing. And with healing takes time. They say that sometimes to get over a breakup, it takes the amount of, half the amount of time that y'all were together. So if you lost your best friend, that might suck because y'all might have been friends for 10, 12, whatever years. I'm not saying that's gonna take 6 years, but you have to understand that healing will take time. You're grieving the loss of something. It takes time. For some people, it takes a week. Some people it takes a day. Some people it takes 6 months. Some people it takes years. Don't beat yourself up. It takes time. But with healing over time, your emotional responses and things of that nature, how often you think of this person, things like that, it starts to dwindle. It starts to become less and less. And when you find yourself in that stage, that's how you know that healing is happening. Healing leads to the last stage, which is acceptance. At this point, this is when you truly realize that relationship was not for you and you're able to move on. At this stage, you've really accepted this and you're on to the next thing with a clear mind. Now with these stages, I feel like a lot of the time, people want to rush past their emotions, especially when it comes to breakups and things like that, because like I said, it feels dramatic. Everything, it just feels dramatic. And I don't know about y'all, but most people don't enjoy it to just seem dramatic all the time for no reason. But this is a part of life. Dealing with these kind of emotions is a part of life, a part of you growing as a person, and don't feel bad for that. So don't rush through these phases, because when you rush through them, that's when you rebound and try and make quick friendships and try and get into new relationships and all these things that aren't going to help you in the long run, which are going to harm you more so, and you're going to be deeper in this hole. Versus you fall in the pit, sure, you acknowledge you're in the pit, and then you crawl out instead of dig deeper. That's what the stages are. The stages are eventually going to lead you out of the hole. Sorry, I got a little preachy there. Now let's talk about an unhealthy breakup. I don't even think there's stages to this one. I feel like unhealthy breakups are the ones that can really leave you damaged, if that makes sense, because there's a whole lot more uncertainty. It's not as rhythmic. It's not as in sync as a healthy breakup. Unhealthy breakups, them things hurt. Like, healthy breakups hurt, but unhealthy breakups hurt. For me, especially with friends, like when you gotta end a friendship unhealthily, that is hurts. That it hurts. There's just a lot of anger in it. A lot of anger and hurt. All the stages that I mentioned in the first one kind of apply too, but more so there's deeper emotions. Now that we've discussed the stages, let's talk about how you move on from a breakup. Because whether it was healthy or unhealthy, you have to move on. First things first, off the rip, delete the messages, delete the pictures, delete it all. Delete it all, because what are you holding on to? Holding on to messages, rereading messages, living in the past is hindering you. If it's not evidence in itself, it's hindering you. If nobody's ever told you this before, it's hindering you. And the same thing goes with pictures. Now, Granted, I'm sure there's some pictures where both of y'all are in them and you look bomb AF. You know what I'm saying? In that case, I say go ahead and crop that bad boy. Save that little face space. No face, no case. You know what I'm saying? Delete the voicemails. Delete the notes. Get rid of it, because you do not need it. Once again, because at the end of the day, those are really just tidbits that are hindering your progress. That's it. Heck, if you need to, block them. Now, when you block somebody, I mean, sometimes it is. It's not out of hate. Sometimes blocking them is for your own good because it prevents you from reaching out to them. It prevents you from doing all of that. Just block them, okay? You got them urges, block them. Block them, baby. Block them. When you block them or when you distance yourself from them, it lets you regroup. Now, a major step to moving on after a breakup is talking to people. Sometimes, honestly, the healthiest thing you can do is cry it out to somebody. Express your emotions. Just let it out. You might feel small, but it helps. Honestly, talking to somebody just helps ingrain the fact that you're not alone in what you're going through, and a good support system can really pull you through anything, really, but especially a breakup. So even though it might not feel significant enough to talk to somebody, to bother people with, do. Granted, after a while, it might get annoying, but shout out to the ones that listen even after you've reached the point of annoyance. Them your real folks. Granted, yes, sometimes people break up and then they come back together and they're together forever. But if you don't truly distance yourself and learn from your experiences, then you're really just jumping back into what you left. And a lot of the times you need to learn from those scenarios. You need to learn so you don't end up in the exact same situation. Y'all know those people who break up, then get right back together, break up, then get right back together, and it's just this flip-flop, 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 flip-flop. Granted, sometimes they're not meant to be together, but sometimes the main issue is that they never took time to learn from why they broke up. You know, honestly, my key piece of advice is don't hold on to somebody with the hopes of getting back together with them or because you're afraid of being alone. Because at the end of the day, the only person you're hurting through that is you. Grow and go. Let's say it together, y'all. Grow and go. Y'all know I'm a godly gal. God really will put people in your life just to take them out sometimes, just so you can learn a lesson from them. Reasons, seasons, lifetimes, all that stuff. God is in control of all of it. Trust the process and trust that God has something there for you. Don't make it your personal duty to make everything work out for yourself, because you always have to remember whose you are. You're a child of God, right? So you gotta trust God, right? Because he has a perfect plan, right? So you can't stress, right? All right, yeah, that's what I thought. I guess that's enough rambling for one day. I hope y'all like this first installment of Tine Tingz. The name might need some work, but the content is gonna be some solid stuff. I hope. Thanks you guys for your time. Thank you for taking a moment to listen to the ramblings of me. I hope to see y'all in the next one. Y'all have a blessed one. Bye.